What's up, Odooers? My name is Jose Ignacio, and it's wonderful to see you again, as always. We're continuing our journey through the manufacturing app, a journey to the center of the work, if you will. That's right, today we're looking at one of the most essential features inside of the manufacturing app, work centers. Now, you see, manufacturing complicated products often requires a variety of different operations like cutting, welding, painting, assembling, and so much more. It's usually impossible to perform all those steps in a single location. Think about it. You wouldn't sand something and paint it in the same place, right? The dust would get everywhere and the paint job would be ruined, right? Sometimes different operations require different locations. This is where work centers come into play. Using the work centers feature, we can set up specialized locations configured with the equipment needed to produce our products. So, enough chit chat. Let's jump in and see how work centers function in Odoo. Here I am in the manufacturing app. First things first, we need to make sure that the work order setting is enabled. I'm going to click into configuration over here and then settings. All right, we want to make sure that work orders is enabled by having that little checkbox selected. This allows us to split manufacturing orders into smaller operations and execute them at specific work centers. As always, don't forget to click save in the top left anytime that you make changes. Now, because work orders as a setting is enabled, we have a nice overview button over here up at the top menu. Let's head over there and take a look. So this is the work centers overview, and it's the first thing that you're going to see every time you open the manufacturing app. The overview page displays a card with the details for each of our work centers. On this card, like let's start with the first one over here. We can see a few metrics, including the number of work orders that we have that are ready to be launched. You can see that up at the top. The number of work orders that are in progress as well, right below that, or late, and the overall effective efficiency percentage, or OEE for my acronym lovers. And that represents how efficient the work center is. If I were to, let's say, click the work orders button on a card, like this one right here, I can see all the work orders for that specific work center. Let's go back over here to our overview. Once that I've clicked that, what happens if I click that monitor icon right next to that word? Well, once it loads, would you look at that? I can see the same work orders for this work center, but displayed in the shop floor module instead of the manufacturing app. All right, let's go back and create a new work center. So we're going to go back via the top left. And this time around, I'm going to click on configuration, and then you guessed it, work centers. This page, it's going to list every work center in the database, along with several configuration settings and metrics. As you can see, we currently have an assembly, drill, and finish work center over here. So we just introduced a brand new product that requires a very dangerous table saw. To manufacture that, I'm going to need to create a new work center. So I'm going to select new in the top left. Okay, immediately I need to give this a work center name. Let's call this Saw Station with emphasis on saw. Then we have a nice little tags field right here. I can add tags to further categorize this work center. I'm going to keep it simple and we're just going to do saw. Great. Next, we have the alternative work center field. Here, you can designate an alternative work center where work orders can be processed if this particular one, where I'm showing you this on the screen, happens to be unavailable. Since this is the only saw station I have, I'm going to leave that blank for now. I can also choose, if I would like to, give it a unique code to help distinguish it from the others. So let's actually do that. We're going to call this SAW1. The best one in the series before the sequels. Anyways, to the right, we have as well, we happen to have the working hours field right there. So this sets the time that the work center is operational. Right now, I have it set kind of to the standard 40-hour work week because I love my employees. You can adjust this or create a custom schedule, but let's leave this alone for now, and we're going to cover working hours in another video. So inside of our general information tab below, there are a number of settings that determine how the estimated duration of a work order is calculated, as well as the cost operation. But that's also for another video. We don't have to worry about that. However, I do want to point out that, where do we have it? Down below. This allowed employees field. So this one determines which employees are allowed to sign in and operate this work center. If you leave it blank, all employees are allowed. But if you set specific employees, only those employees will have access. So keep that in mind. Looking at you, Steve. We don't want you here. Now, this table saw is pretty dangerous, as I said. It's a dangerous piece of equipment, and only one employee is certified to use it. Jim Joe Kelly. JJK. All right. Let's check out our product capacities tab now that we've moved forward. So this is where we can set a limit on the production volume for each product at this work center. Since I only have, in my case, one employee who can work the saw station, I am going to configure this tab. So I'm going to select add a line. Okay, so this is perfect. So the very first thing that I want to do is I want to set the capacity over here to 1. You can specify, in our case, setup and cleanup times here as well. This helps provide a good time estimate for how long it takes to use this station, but that's not an issue for it, so I'm going to leave these blank. You might also see other tabs depending on the apps installed in your database, by the way, but I'm going to cover those in future videos. For today's demo, this work center is set up and ready to use. If we return to the overview page, we can see our newly created saw station work center card. Ah, there you have it, folks. Now you know how to set up a brand new work center in the manufacturing app. Check out our other videos to learn how to create a bill of materials, bombs, assign a work center to it, and use it to quickly create manufacturing orders and work orders. Thanks for being basic with me today. And I mean that nicely. Go grab a snack. You deserve it.